the 7 national core values. Now, just to refresh our minds, can you tell us what mindsets are? And
All right.
yeah,
Mindsets are a set of information, set of ideologies, set of beliefs that make us as people. They are ideologies that sponsor the decisions that we make. They are thought patterns, ideas that are responsible for day-to-day decisions that we make. So those mindsets in turn form who we are, our personalities. You see that. So it is important that we are talking about what we're talking about today. Let me start with this since you've brought me up already. Let me start with this. Very important. Now, the things that make for, or the things that are responsible for success of a nation, success of an individual, success of a people, or the greatness of a people are usually basic. They are usually basic. Where the challenge is the ability to act on those things.
yeah,
For example, these 7 core values that are enshrined in the Constitution. If show me a people who, let's say, are disciplined, people who have integrity, people who are religiously tolerant, people who honor and respect social justice, people who are patriotic, and I will show you people who are on their way to greatness, people who have a thriving community,
yeah,
people who would have a thriving nation in no time. So these things are laws, these things are systems, these things are principles that, and one thing with principles is that at the end of every principle there is a promise.
yeah,
When you follow stipulated principles, at the end there will be results.
yeah,
You see,
yeah.
there will always be a result at the end of a principle. So the reason why we are convinced about these 7 core
Core values.
values is because we have seen the results it can bring in the life of people, and that is why every Wednesday we see it as a responsibility to talk to us about this time and time again. Because you see, the country, like I would say, is not a geographical location per se.
It's us.
It is us. It
Yeah.
is you and I. So if we decide to imbibe by these core principles, by these laws, when we start getting better, if each and every one of us subscribing to these laws, we are getting better. Gradually, the country as a whole begins to get better. So today, we are talking about channels of promoting this mindset.
Yeah.
The mindsets that can sustain these 7 core values
Yeah.
in our societies, in the lives of the people around us, in our churches, mosques, schools, wherever it is. You see that now. So that is what we're talking about today.
All right. Now, just to refresh our minds again on what we had discussed last week, we talked about how mindsets are formed, and then we did highlight that early life experiences, like your family upbringing, your cultural background, and your education, play a very critical role in shaping an individual's mindset from childhood. We also did highlight the environmental contributions to forming mindset, where your social environment, such as your peer groups, your communities, your workspaces, your place of worship as well, influences your attitude and your beliefs. Now, we talked about education and information, both formal and formal education, where the knowledge, the values, and ideologies absorbed through formal education, the media, personal learning contribute to mindset formation. We also did talk about personal experiences, your successes, your failures, your challenges, your woes, and what have you. Then we talked about role models. Who are the people that
You look up to?
you look up to?
Yeah.
Your decisions, you will outlive your decisions. If you're able to make decisions and people that come after you are willing to follow through with that decision, you can be considered a role model. You can be alive and be a role model. You can be dead and still be a role model because of the choices that you made, and because of the contributions that you made while you were here. So today we're moving a bit from that, and we will be talking about What are we talking about? We'll be talking about the effective channels. Yes. We'll be talking about the effective channels for building the right mindset and for sustaining the 7 national core values. Now, while we're talking about the need to build this mindset that will sustain these values, it's not because we think that keeping through with the core values are simple. It's a very simple task. Doing the right thing is not simple. Doing the right thing is not easy. In fact, when we have to do things that are beneficial to us sometimes, it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of confinement, of ourselves to do those things. Regardless of how difficult they are, we know it will benefit us, so we will have to do it regardless. So it's the same thing with the core values. We need the right mindset to help us keep the values. If we don't build this mindset, we will not see a need to keep the national core values, because there's no need for it anyway. That's what we might say all the time. But if we put this mindset in place, if we try to imbibe or adopt this mindset, it will make it easy for us to keep or follow through with the 7 core values.
It takes revelation to stay consistent. It takes a mindset to stay consistent in a particular activity.
Yeah.
You see that. So if a person doesn't have convictions or doesn't have a mindset about these values, they can't keep it over time.
All right. So let's have you tell us one of the channels.
Okay.
For
One
building
of
the right
one of the
mindset.
channels is education, value-based learning. Now, this education can be in schools, religious institutions, and even the media. Now, our schools, it is important that these core values are communicated in our schools. Very important, because nobody is born and decides to be a nuisance to the society. No, you do not have the ability to make that decision when you were born. That decision comes as a result of the things that have made up your mindset, the kind of information that your environment has given to you. You see, so those information begin to sponsor the decision you make. So if in our schools we establish curriculums that can teach young people the national core values, teach them at a very young age to be people of integrity. Can I be honest with you? Most of the challenges we are having now as a country would not be having it, because every president you see today was once a child.
Exactly.
They were once in nursery school, primary school, wherever. At the time when teachers had influence on them to communicate these values. You see that. Then we have the religious institutions. Our religious institutions should not give birth to extremists, religious extremists.
Very important.
No. Our religious institutions should not be a nuisance to society. They should be a building ground for people, because religion, especially in Nigeria, has a lot of influence over the citizens. So if religion does not take up the responsibility of communicating these core values to the people who subscribe to those religions, then there will be a problem in the country. You see that? So religious institutions should put it as a responsibility to teach the congregation, the people, about these core values. And then our media, you see, in Nigeria, we must be very intentional. Just like media houses like this, we really appreciate what you guys are doing for giving the opportunity for wonderful things like this to be aired.
You're welcome to mention. Yes, you're welcome to mention.
Mata would eat it up. But yes, media houses like this should take up the responsibility of communicating these core values to citizens.
All right.
Very important.
Very important. And I'd like to emphasize that the media. And I think a lot of us many times downplay the role of the media in communicating the right mindset to people. You see people say that it's just a movie. If a movie can transfer fear to you, have you not watched horror movies where... I do a lot. But have you not seen horror movies where you are seeing that movie in a sitting room? It's difficult for you to go to your kitchen because you'd have shadows or flashes of the memories of that. So if a movie can transfer fear, why then do you think a movie cannot transfer lust?
Remember, media is one of the spheres of influence.
Yes. So
very powerful
if you can catch fear, let me just say catch fear from a movie, You can also catch loss from a movie.
Yeah.
You can build habits from a movie.
True, true.
You know, your mindset can also be formed
Very true.
using movies. You know, there are things I'd never forget. I read a book one time. It's called The Smart Money Woman. And that book didn't really make much sense because I think it was the fashionable thing to do at that time, to just read and keep reading those stuff. But when I saw the movie in itself, it's called The Smart Money Woman. When I saw, like, it stuck with me for a
you
very long
understood
time.
what it
Now, there are many decisions I made after seeing that movie, as regards money, as regards, you know, your career, as regards your life.
Yeah.
So it was a major source of influence to me at that time after seeing that movie. So it's very important to understand that even as media practitioners and media consumers, because we have the practitioners, there's the producers, and then we have the consumers as well. So as a producer, you need to be conscious of the content you put out there. You know, I've seen many times where the Nigerian government will say, maybe we have to ban Nollywood from showing scenes that portray Nigeria as just a witchcraft or all of those things. We have that a lot in the Nollywood. And some people became paranoid watching those movies. They don't even realize that they became paranoid by watching those movies. He had a very extreme role. He had a very extreme role to play in their lives, but they didn't even realize it. Now, that's the part of producers. Now, for consumers, you have the liberty to choose what you consume. Because you know that these things, words are seeds, pictures are seeds, whatever you like. And once you drop it, you keep dropping it. It's only a matter of time before it grows. So as a consumer, it is your responsibility to decide what to consume. Just as you decide what to eat, you decide what to wear, you decide the clothes to buy. It's also important that you decide what to consume as per media content. These things build your mindset and they form the mindset. When I tell people that, I don't know why a teenager is with a phone, or a small child is with a phone, a child in their 10s and 12s, 15s, I don't know why they are with phones. Because these days, it exposes them to a lot of things. Let them be matured enough to be able to decide what they want to consume before you give them such a material. But again, we're a woke generation, so anything flies, literally. So yes, like Innocent has said, education and value-based learnings ranging from schools to religious institutions and to media is one of the major ways that mindset can be built, or the right mindsets can be built to sustain the national ethics and core values. Now let's talk about role modeling and leadership.
Okay, role modeling and leadership. I would like to go back to education first,
Okay.
because it's the foundation on which everything is built upon.
Okay.
When a nation is educated, all these things will fall into place. But when you see that a lot of people are illiterate, it takes time for them to understand all these things. So education is very important. And being in the education space myself, I've met with students who I wonder how they were trained. And that is why when, children spend most of their time in school more than their parents. So I feel that the educational board should put more time in teaching them core values. Thank God we have, what's it called now?
National Orientation Agency.
Yes, we have that. I feel that they need to go more
Do
into
more
schools,
all out,
form clubs, tell them what they need to do, and teach them about this. Now, when we talk about role modeling and leadership, it's so sad that we can't get that these days. We can't get good role models, although we have some. But right now, let me go back to school again. While I was teaching, a student said, I don't need education. Why should I go to school? After all, when I get to SS3, my parents can take me to one of these schools where we pay and he gets his results. And then all he's thinking about is getting money. That is what is on his mind. And he feels that he can buy his way
through anything.
Why? Because that is what he has been
Mindset.
seeing. That is mindset. And because of the people that have gone, imagine his parents telling him that, okay, don't worry. When you get to SS3, we'll take you to this school and you just pass your exams, you buy your results for you. What is that? That is another bad influence of role model. So these days, if we can get our leaders should know that people are watching them and are looking at them. Whatever they're doing, they also want to aspire to be like them. A lot of people want to go into politics today, not because they want to serve.
Yeah.
The real essence of being in politics is service. It's not a place or a time for you to say, yes, it is my time. Let me start acquiring wealth for my fourth, fifth, second generation. No, it's wrong. We need to change the mindset of our political leaders, and it starts from the young ones, because it's so sad that the ones that have gone before us, there's nothing we can do about it. But the ones that are coming, we need to start
You need to
teaching
see
them,
something
yes,
better.
that you are a role model. I remember when my son was getting into his teens, because he's the first and he has two sisters. I keep telling him that whatever you do, your sisters are looking at you. So you should know that you are a role model. And when I was teaching, he was also in the same school. So I told him that, see, they know you
Whatever
as,
you do.
yes, they know you as the son of Mrs. Ruben. And they know me that I talk a lot. I try to give advice. So if you have found one thing, that means I have failed. You are also a role model to the students in your class. So it's important we begin to teach them right from their young age.
Yeah.
These are the things you need to do. You have to show integrity, discipline. And what is integrity? It is when nobody's looking at you.
That's when you know.
That is when you know that you're a person of integrity. Because a lot of people do eye service. Because Martha is here, let me try to show that I love her. What do I do when Martha is not in that space? Do I truly love her as I claim to be? How about discipline? You should know the do's and the don'ts. For instance, I'll still go back to school. There's one thing I tell my students, that don't love me if I'm teaching you and you don't get anything from my teaching. That means I failed as a teacher.
Yeah.
I'll prefer you hate me and you do what? You pass.
Yeah.
And I make sure that I don't pamper them. I make sure they are disciplined. Make sure that you read to study, not to cheat.
Pass
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I do is I make sure they are disciplined, and also patriotism. Martha, this topic, patriotism, it's something that right now, a lot of people are not buying into it because of things happening. But it's something we have to do. We have to imbibe if we want to move from one place to another. As Nigerians, God has placed us here as Nigerians, right? And I believe that He didn't make a mistake placing you and I here. Mother is laughing.
I don't think
You're
so.
not smiling.
Anyways,
Seriously.
yeah, I agree.
That means there's something
You should
within
contribute.
us that we need to do.
Yeah.
Show the world that we have good Nigeria.
Yeah, it's hard. No, truthfully, it's hard to be able to. There's certain things that you ask yourself, why am I even saying this thing? Like, it's hard.
Yeah, but that's the reality.
That's the beauty in it. And
beauty.
you see, the topic of role modeling is not something that we can exhaust.
It's not.
Yes. But for everyone listening, that person listening here,
Yeah.
the truth is, everybody is a role model to somebody.
Yeah.
Even a thief is a role model to somebody.
other thieves.
Yes. You hear people say that. Haven't you seen people who said their role models are Adolf Hitler? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, of course.
Some people call themselves
Yes.
Pablo Escobar. Do you know who that?
Yes. The famous.
Do you know who that person
in
is?
Cuba.
You know who Pablo Escobar is? People name themselves after these people. So even a thief has a role model.
Yeah.
It is now your decision. It's your choice to decide what kind of a role model or what kind of an influence you want to be.
Yeah.
Personally, you see, there are many times I pep talk myself a lot.
Yeah.
We were talking about this morning.
Yeah.
Only me would tell myself, I'm tired, I cannot do this thing again. I'm
It's
done.
too much
It's
for
too
me
much.
to
I'm
handle."
done. Then the next minute, I'm the one seeing myself in the position of already accomplishing the things that I think are super difficult.
Yeah.
And the thing that keeps me going every time is that there's another young girl. I post him as many times as possible. There's a young girl that depends on my clarity about life and my clarity about my journey to start her own journey.
Yeah.
So I might not literally be doing all of those things for myself. I'm doing it because there's somebody coming after me that will follow the examples that I leave behind.
Yeah.
And everyone is remembered by the problems that they solve or the problems that they create. So you are remembered for either of these things. It's your responsibility to decide what you want to be remembered for. And for me, I want to be remembered for good things, so that when they remember me, they will not say, God, we punish this person for doing this, you know. As crazy as it sounds, as minute or insignificant, as demure as it sounds, it is super important to note that wherever you find yourself, you are a role model. People might not come and tell you, oh, you're my role model, but they look at you. They follow through with what you do, how you speak to people, how you deal with things, how you handle issues. They look at these things, and this now forms an opinion for them. This forms a lifestyle, and it forms a mindset for them. So first, we must go back to understanding what it means to be a role model, you know, because these days, like I said, cross-dressers have role models, you know.
Fraudsters have
Yes,
role
they have role
models.
models. So
Yeah.
you decide. And how do you pick a role model even? Someone or people whose principles or life they live aligns with your values and your principles as a person. Now, I went back yesterday and I was listening to some interviews done by Christiana Mampour.
Okay, so
And I'm like, oh, I don't even realize how much I have listened to this person talk, that you have picked up their mannerisms, you have picked up the way that they do what they do. Sometimes it's even unconscious. But again, it's important to know what you're doing. So, and important to know that people are coming after you to follow through with what you are doing. Now, the third way to form a mindset will be community and cultural reinforcement. Why are you giving me the bombastic smile? So talk about cultural and community and cultural reinforcement.
Community and cultural reinforcement.
Yeah.
Now, this is the stage, or this is a channel for communicating this national core values, this mindsets to the people. And what happens in this platform is that the society must make it a responsibility to always reinforce these core values when we have cultural events. And the society must make it the responsibility to create campaigns whereby these national core values are being aired, are being communicated, so that it keeps ringing in the minds of the citizens. Anybody who is paying attention, they keep learning it. The community makes it known that these core values are accepted. These core values are what we live by. So people begin to live by that consciousness. I'm supposed to be a person of integrity. I'm supposed to be disciplined. I'm supposed to be patriotic. You see that there is something such as social justice, and my community honors and respects social justice. You see, by reason of our communicating these things as a community, the people in that community keeps being conscious of
those things.
Yes, so that is simply what that means.
Community and cultural reinforcement.
Yes.
Now, the fourth will be personal development programs. That's workshops and seminars. Now, let's not forget the context of this conversation. It's effective channels for building the right mindsets to sustaining the seven national core values. And now, if we're talking about personal development and programs, there's one of the core values that talks about self-reliance. There's another that talks about dignity of labor. And to be self-reliant, you must be interested in personal development.
True.
The day you stop investing in yourself, that's the day that you die, as far as I'm concerned. Because you will leave out what you have invested last. Say the last thing you invested is how to use a typewriter. And we have moved from that. We now type on phones. We now type using a keyboard. And the last investment you did on yourself as regards that aspect is using a typewriter. You know what will happen when you come to
You become obsolete.
obsolete,
Irrelevant.
like irrelevant.
You'll be wondering.
Nobody seeks nobody seeks your service, or you are not sought after.
Yeah.
And the proof that you are living a worthy life
Yeah.
is the fact that you are being sought after. See, to be honest with us, if you are just living your life, I'm not talking about friends that come to look for you or how are you doing. I'm talking about people placing a demand on your skill.
Yeah.
If nobody knows you for any problem you can solve,
So that's a big problem for you again.
yes, in a couple of years to come, you'll be depressed because there's nothing you can contribute. And a person who contributes nothing is ignored, is abandoned, and like he said, obsolete. Nobody will need your service anymore. And that's why you hear people say, I'm depressed. Nobody's asking about me. I'm lonely. If you develop yourself,
I'll be depressed.
organizing workshops or attending workshops and seminars, you'd see webinars everywhere. You see master classes everywhere
Now
these
it's
days.
made easy. It's online.
Yeah.
You can just go there. And
But you
get
have
it.
to also be careful the master classes, because in fact I saw a master class that says 7 days class on how to become the desire of every man or the desire of every woman. And I'm like, I don't know better. I don't know better things that we should, talk about keeping the core values.
Okay.
Anybody will become admirable. Anybody who is able to keep these core values becomes desirable by a valuable person too. Because if you're someone that has dignity of labor, if you are self-reliant, nobody will call you a gold digger. Nobody will call you a cougar, because you are working for yourself, and regardless of how small what you earn is, you are getting by life by what you are earning honestly. We're talking about discipline and integrity. Everybody loves a person that is disciplined people who don't act anyhow, who don't get out of character, who behave well. So anyone who keeps the in fact, the first way to be desirable, that's the only master class you need. The first way to become desirable and sought after is to keep or follow through with the 7 national ethics and the core values. It makes it easy for people to want to associate themselves with you.
Yeah.
So yes, the 4th way to build the mindset before we go astray is personal development programs, workshops, and seminars. And it talks about conducting trainings, sessions focused on personal growth, ethical decision making, and leadership that can reinforce the importance of the core values. Now, mentorship programs as well. Now, if you see us talking about the need to have good mentors. If we feel like people are not having good mentors, we can also come up with mentorship programs. We can come up with mentorship organizations that can mentor people on having the right mindsets that makes it easy for them to keep up with the national ethics and the core values. So yes, personal development programs, organizing personal development programs, workshops and seminars, and mentorship programs, I think is an effective way for building the mindset. Now, the 5th will be accountability and consequences.
Is it possible for me to chip in something?
Yes,
Yeah.
by all means.
Let me chip in something into this personal development thing. It is our responsibility to build and strengthen our convictions.
Yeah.
And in a bid to do that, we must take responsibility by investing into personal development.
Yeah.
There are things that you don't know. And if you don't know them, you can't be a better citizen.
Yeah.
You can't subscribe to these core values. There are some of these things that you will only know when you attend workshop and seminars. You meet different other people that in their walks of lives, they have subscribed to these 7 core values and they have results to show for it. When you see other people who have gone this path and they have results to show for it, then your convictions are strengthened. You see that? When you subscribe to mentorship programs made by people who have walked the walk and have results, your convictions are strengthened. Now you know more. Because we can do our best to list these things out, just give you information and make you aware. When you go out, someone can as well twist your mind still, because it is not a conviction yet. You need to subscribe to personal development, learn more, mingle with people who have walked this walk and have the results for it to become a conviction.
So accountability, and consequences. Basically, implementing laws and regulations that enforce accountability, ensuring that unethical behavior is penalized with ethical actions, where ethical actions are rewarded as well. The show this morning, someone was talking about how they should put how did they put it? A bounty if anybody catches a criminal or a bandit or a kidnapper. An amount of money should be set aside to reward the person, and then the person that is caught will be punished. While that might not be an effective system as regards the security infrastructure of the country, right? It might be an effective system in forming the right mindset with people. You see, human beings, one thing I realize with us is we need to know, we need to see the consequence of our actions before we do what we are meant to do. You know, when they say, don't do this, if you do this, you go to jail or they'll kill you. Many people will say, it cannot happen to me. I have it well thought out. It's a well thought out plan. I can execute it. Until it becomes you, that's when you understand.
Very powerful.
But it's important that these things are being, and if you know me very well, I think if you listen very well to me here, I say it all the time. I'm all for punishment. There are many things in my life I would never have known if I didn't serve punishment for. Let me give you an example. I think I've shared it here one time, where I was very young at that time, where myself and my siblings would not sit at a place to eat. I still do that, by the way.
She still does that.
So you can't sit somewhere and just eat. You have to be walking about back and forth and be eating. Why exactly?
I believe you.
Wait, why exactly? I don't know. So then I think it was a Super Story scenario where Super Story was a thing, at that time. So would go, watch the TV, go back to the table, eat, and then it was rice. It kept spilling everywhere, back and forth. And then my dad says, stop it. But it's children. If you don't know why they say stop it, you will not stop it. So we kept doing that back and forth. And then after Super Story was from 9 to 10. At 10, you're already tired and you want to retire. But there's so much crumbs of rice everywhere. I'm telling you that my own father is not my adopted father or anything.
Your very own father
made myself and my siblings count every single grain of that rice that we spilled on the ground. Every single grain.
I ought to meet that.
Now, at that time, I would say this man is very wicked, because why do I have to count the rice? You know, you can just ask me to sweep it if you don't want somebody else to sweep it. Do you get? So we counted that, and let me tell you what that does to me up until today. There's that.
You pick it when it falls on the
immediately it drops. I don't spill anymore. I don't spill because, and it's something that happened 10 to 15 years back. But I remember it like yesterday, because I was made to face that punishment and understand the consequence of that. So I don't spill. Whether I'm eating or not, I literally don't spill anywhere. That's what putting punishments, let me not put it as punishments, penalties for your actions. That's what it does to a person. It helps them understand that you're not supposed to be doing this. You're not, there's a better way to do this, you know. Because many times, when they beat you, you cry and you are done. When they correct you, you hear and it goes back to the other. But when they punish you,
it sticks.
You never forget, it sticks. So these are one of the ways, putting for legal framework that encourages accountability and ensuring that behaviors that are unethical are punished. There are penalties, yes.
And ethical behaviors are
praised and rewarded. Say, for instance, the people that pick monies at airports, you know, people leave their money. It annoys me when these people return the money and there's no reward.
No reward, so the next person will not want to do it. Will want to take it away.
Yes, it annoys me when that happens because I could have carried it. I needed the money. It's a bag of dollars, of money I'm seeing there. It would change the person's life in a twinkle. And then they bring the money. There's no sort of reward for that person. Rewards encourage people to do better. And punishments deter people from being terrible or negative, basically.
In addition to, sorry to cut you, why is it that when you travel abroad, as a Nigerian, when you get abroad, normally in your country, when you take a sachet of water, you throw it on the floor, or you just litter the floor, But when you get there, immediately, everything,
Factory setting.
you would know that I can't put it there. I can't put it on the floor. If, like you said, punishment will be met out to people if you litter the floor, because it's so annoying.
We had someone here
Somebody
tell us about
takes-
how they went to jail for littering, I think in Dubai also.
It's so
One of
wrong.
those countries.
I'll see people, big cars, fling out water bottles, I'm like, what the heck is this? It's so wrong, because there's no punishment.
It's granite season, oh.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
granite
Pour
season.
it and maize and corn, the hub of the corn, you just throw it out.
it
It's
anywhere.
really wrong.
So not everybody in a society or in a community is well raised. Not everybody
course.
is disciplined.
Yeah.
Of course.
So putting policies and laws in place to guide everyone is the responsibility of our dear government.
Yes, it
Now,
is.
for example, a dear friend was telling me a story one time in the US. So he had an emergency. He was driving and mistakenly he beat the traffic light.
Mistakenly.
Nobody,
mistakenly.
nobody.
He was in
He
Nigeria.
wasn't conscious, of course. So nobody troubled him. That's fine.
Receipt.
Yeah, don't
When
worry.
he got back to his house, officers were waiting for him already.
Ticket.
Yes. They give
You
him
see that now. In places like Dubai, like
Yeah.
I had,
Yeah.
when you maybe break the law, some of these
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
it's nobody troubles you. It start reflecting in your
Your
account
account.
immediately. Your
Look
bank
at
account.
people that refuse to use overhead bridges.
You see
They
that now.
cross the road.
You see.
One person was taken to a psychiatric hospital.
I
Then.
like that.
Because why would you cross
Do
a
you want
road?
to kill yourself?
Now, we are proud of these nations, but do you think that everyone in that nation was brought up right?
No.
No. But
We're
the
forced.
consequences,
Yes,
the
make
consequences
them
that
stick
follows
to
your
it.
misbehavior will make you think better.
Yes.
You see that? So, as a nation, we should see it as a responsibility, even legally, to enforce laws that
Yeah.
make us think well.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
when
like
people do
well-bred
wrong,
people.
Yeah.
when people do wrong, let
Yeah.
them be punished.
Yeah.
And when they do right, let them be rewarded.
Yeah.
As simple as
Very, very important.
Yeah.
It's a gradual process, and we know that Nigeria, we're just making progress. You know, those subversive laws that were introduced sometime last month, or I think early this
Oh,
month,
okay.
a couple of weeks back, where
Okay.
if you insult a politician, you know, you'll be given
still
2 years
on?
jail. No, it was withdrawn.
Okay.
But I mean, I understand the intent or the intention behind some of those policies, just to put order in place. But there are many other things that affect the orderliness of the people that you're supposed to be addressing before putting some of those laws in place.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So
True. Even to add to this, there was a time you were saying some. Sorry. What I want to say is this: that nobody should be above the law.
Nobody.
exactly.
When those laws are placed, everyone should be under the law.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, you were saying something one of the Wednesdays here about a politician who stole money and called it something else. I don't know what that you were talking about a politician who stole money and was calling it something else, like it was his right or something, and the person wasn't punished for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see that probably because they are in power, they weren't punished for
And
that.
what they've seen over time, that
See.
it's something
and
normal.
and the bad thing about this is when people are not punished for their wrongdoing, especially leaders who are influential people,
Yeah.
when they are not punished for their
Many people
wrongdoings, other people follow suit.
Yeah.
You see that there is a reason why people have that mindset that Madam Bumi talked about. The people who enter into leadership for their own pockets
Yeah.
is because the people who had done it before
Before
weren't
went away
punished
with
for
it.
that.
Went
You see
away
that?
with
So
it.
other people see potential there, that when they go in, they can do the same thing and they get away with it.
And just to conclude that, I was talking this morning about videos of bandits displaying the money, the ransom money they collected on TikTok.
Imagine the audacity.
You know, they displayed it on TikTok. So again, it's what happens when there's no scapegoat.
Yeah.
When there's a scapegoat, someone is caught, prosecuted.
Punished
As far as I'm
publicly.
concerned, if you're doing that, you should also face the life and death penalty.
True.
Because these people have no value for life
Yeah,
whatsoever.
they don't.
You know. So you see more people coming out as kidnappers because there's no real scapegoat.
They're getting bold.
Say you see,
And it's a thriving business right
it
now.
has emboldened them, so they can even come to TikTok and display that money. I pray that, oh, Jesus.
Yes. No,
I really hope
it's
that
a prayer.
it's a prayer.
It's a prayer.
I pray that we get to the point where we understand these things fully.
Yes.
And I really hope that people who are conscious of these core values make it to places of influence, make it to important positions in government and in organizations as well, so that they make it their point of duty to introduce and enforce these core values in their organizations, in the country's system, and what have you. But yes, these channels, when effectively utilized, can significantly contribute to the building and sustaining the right mindset necessary for upholding Nigeria's 7 national core values. Thank you so much,
Thank you, everyone.
Innocent Obasi, for
Thank
being
you.
here, and
Thank
thank you, my girl Olububus.
Yeah.
Thank you to that person listening, and thank you to that person who will take it a step further
Yep.
to implement, the core values and adopt this mindset. I'll see you in the next hour. There, you're making requests for the old school songs you love to hear. I'm